Shalom, and welcome to another in our series of podcasts from Temple Beth, a dynamic center for conservative Judaism in Los Angeles. This is a recording of a Shabbat sermon with Rabbi Cantor Hilary Chorny.
In our house, on the afternoon before the Passover Seder, we have mandatory nap time. Now this applies to all ages, toddlers, adults, even the squirmy kids who would rather not nap, because we know that Seder shenanigans take energy, and if you start the night already dragging, it won't get much better, especially after 4 cups of wine. So we are committed to the bit, not just the evening of delight and great conversation, but the prep that's required to make it an unforgettable evening that we'll all enjoy. And I don't just want everyone to nap, I want them to want to nap. More than any other holiday, the rabbinic prescription for Erev Pesach is laced with mandatory joy. The Haggadah includes an injunction that the one who expounds and expands upon the Pesach narrative, they're considered praiseworthy. And I think that instruction is there to limit the eye rolls when Uncle Steve wants to do another round of Dayenu, but this time with the melody that he learned on a recent trip to Israel. We're supposed to know that he's praiseworthy, that's praiseworthy. The rabbis set us up for a maximally positive attitude. The rabbis don't just want us to be playful at the Seder. They want us to want to be playful. They don't just want us to have fun. They want us to want to have fun. The Torah sets specific emotional stage directions around holidays. In the book of Devarim, we read that on the festival of Sukkot, V'samachta b'chagecha, you should rejoice in your holiday. And the plain meaning of that is that we are demanded to enter Sukkot in a state of positivity. The Rambam, Maimonides, gathers practical suggestions for drumming up joy from scattered points all over rabbinic literature. Ve'ochel v'shoteh hu uvanav v'ishto ve'eno ma'achil u'mashke la'aniyim u'marei nefesh ein zo simcha mitzvah ele simchat kreso. He goes on to say, you want to get your family excited about the holiday? Get them nice new clothes and shoes. Give them, specifically, nuts and candy. Oh, and also he says there's no joy unless you got wine and meat. So you're supposed to foster the sense of an excitement by showering them with the things that spark joy for them. But money and brisket cannot always buy happiness. Ask anyone who has a grumpy child or a grumpy spouse, or let's face it, if you are a grump yourself, you know this. You can stock the shelves with kosher for Passover Dubai chocolate, which does exist, and buy that new suit. You can design a sensory-friendly Seder. You can incorporate every requested dietary need among your guests. You can nail the timing with a Seder that's just the right amount of silliness, but still moves the evening along, and still, someone won't be happy. Chances are, if you're working that hard to fulfill everyone else's needs, that person who isn't happy might even be you. You want to host the Seder. But somewhere between the price tag and sleepless nights, wanting to want it is not enough. You want them to want to be at your Seder table, but if our own desire is out of our control, someone else's desire, your partners, your friends, your kids, well, that's even further out of reach. I want my kids to want a lot of things. I want them to want to eat their broccoli. I want them to want to come with me to volunteer at OBKLA and to put their hairnet on with a smile. I want them to want to wake up and go to school. I want them to want to go to class, to want to be with their classmates. I want them to want to shut their devices off for Shabbat, to lean into Friday evening with a sigh of relief and enjoy shutting out the world just for a little bit while they immerse in immediate community. But that wanting them to want to is entirely elusive. Sometimes it's even a trap. What someone else feels is always beyond our control. Now, that doesn't stop us from trying to control other people's feelings. The rabbis understood this when they considered the emotional and spiritual side of the korbanot, the series of offerings that are prescribed in the era of the Mishkan. In our Parsha Vayikra, which Ezra read beautifully in verse 3, about the connection between offering and desire, we learn the following. Imola korbano min habakar, zachar tamim yakrivenu, el petach ohel moed yakrivoto, lirtsono lifnei Adonai. If your offering is a burnt offering from the herd, you should make your offering a male without blemish and bring it to the entrance of the tent of meeting from a place of ratzon, inclination, intentionality, happiness for acceptance before God. Now, Rashi brings us a piece of commentary from the Sifra on this particular piece, Lirtzono. He says, Milamed shekofin oto, yechol ba'al korcho, Talmud lomar lirtzona hakitzad, kofin oto ad sheyomar rotza ani. This apparently superfluous word, oto, it teaches us that the Beit Din must put pressure upon someone to bring it if they're remiss in bringing the sacrifice that they'd promised. One might think that this means that the Beit Din is supposed to force him against his will. But what Scripture tells us is that lirtzono means so that it should be favorably accepted for him. He should want to bring it. How is this possible, says the Sifra? They press him until he says, I want to do it. Rotza ani. For the rabbis, this was anything but theoretical. To this day, the notion of kofin oto ad sheyomar rotza ani is applied to the idea of collective action against men whose marriages have ended but who refuse to give a get, a Jewish writ of divorcement, chaining the woman to a marriage that's long over. One means of trying to break through that limbo is to deny the get refuser any privileges in the community, from aliyot to the Torah to getting business from community members, until he concedes, as is necessary by Jewish law, that he does want to grant her the divorce. But in most situations, we know we cannot force someone to want something that they don't want. There's nothing that could force me into wanting to clean up the house after Seder before I go to bed. I know I should clean up. I probably will clean up after Seder, but you can't make me want to do it. And no version of kofin oto, I think, is going to make my kid want to try the chopped liver. No amount of applied force will make them want to apologize, to sacrifice their ego, as Ezra said, when they make a mistake. Our feelings live in the part of us that is a kind of holy of holies, a little space inside of us that is untouchable. It's internalized experience that is beyond reach. We are much more likely to do something once we've internalized it, once the commitment and the buy-in comes from within us, when we no longer have to be asked. Parents and teachers play a critical role in helping us to internalize ratzon, find will within ourselves to do the things that we ought to do, maybe even enjoy them. Some teachers and parents exercise the kofin oto method, effectively coercing us to want something out of tough love. Others strive to find the more elusive spirit of transformative influence or intentional hints. They hold the emotions of their students and of their children in their kapayim, like kofin oto, in the palms of their hands. And from there, a parent or a teacher can guide and direct. They can gently challenge so that a student might eventually come to say, yeah, you know what? Actually, I do want to do that. When we want someone to want something, to want to try, to want to do, to want an experience, we have the power to sway their emotions by appealing to them. If we want them, for example, to find joy in a holiday and fulfill the mitzvah of V'samachta b'chagecha, we appeal to the things that we know will bring them joy. In the 17th century Hasidic guidebook, Shnei Luchot HaBrit, Rabbi Isaiah Horowitz wrote, I found this in the name of the author of the Sefer HaYe'arim, may his memory be for a blessing. We learn from here that a person is obligated on the holiday to engage in any proper enjoyment and any joyful thing which might make him rejoice. He should engage in anything from which his heart derives joy and bliss, like eating and drinking and strolling. So a person is obligated to do everything that makes them rejoice. And just like they're obligated to make him rejoice, he continues, so too is he obligated to make his sons, his daughters, his household rejoice. As it is stated, you are to rejoice during your festival, you, your son, and your daughter, bringing joy through the things that you know you love and you know they love. If I know that the thing that's holding me back from enjoying after Seder cleanup is a combination of exhaustion and boredom, I can plan to brew a strong cup of tea and maybe pre-invite my friends to come hang back in my kitchen nook so that I have good company while I break it all down. The same is true of my children, because I know that they'll enjoy more of the Seder if there are games and tokens and good prizes. I use my free will to design a Haggadah that's chock full of challenges and trivia, including toilet paper, mummy races, and Seder bingo. I can lead them to the waters of joy by dropping a breadcrumb trail of the things that I know are most likely to evince an inner sense of delight. Wanting them to want this is futile, but wanting them to try is the beginning of an exercise in attuned parenting and ritual design, both of which are such vital spiritual exercises for this season. On all other years, I've wanted my family to want to nap on the afternoon before Passover. This year, I will try to lead them toward the joy of nap time. Maybe we'd rent a cheap hotel room where we can eat our last chametz and luxuriate in soft sheets that someone else had to wash and blackout curtains. Or I'll buy everybody their own new sleep mask, or each of them a book to enjoy as they fall asleep. I'll think of that night as a great exercise in cultivating joy, a challenge to cultivate desire, to guide my kids, my guests, my family, and myself to a place of Rotza Ani. Rotza Ani. I want to participate. I want to engage. And I want to enjoy.
You've been listening to another in our series of podcasts from Temple Beth Am, a dynamic center for conservative Judaism in Los Angeles. If you enjoy these podcasts, we invite you to write a review on the Apple Podcast website or wherever you get your podcasts. For more information on Temple Beth Am, Los Angeles, please visit www.tbala.org.